We are continuing our study of counseling theories as we introduce the basics of those different theories. This is an overview of all of the counseling theories that we will encounter in understanding what is out there secularly and as we look at the Christian theories of counseling. We move now to existentialist or humanistic self-theories. Existential or existentialism means to stand out or emerge. It's the existence is before essence, and understanding that that is the reason that we seek to understand the person rather than the process. The term comes from existere, which means to stand out or emerge. Existence is before essence, or the process and growth are most important for people. The theory of existentialism is an emergent part of the third force of psychology, and it attempts to look at the deeper meanings of life. The existential perspective is not simplistic or not technique-driven. The theorist or the therapist explore themselves when they look at the concerns of others. They want to be able to identify with their client. So the emphasis is upon existence, the individual existence, the therapist existence, not the essence of the problem itself. So from this perspective, it's more important to understand and experience the person in the moment rather than to examine the essential parts. It's a study of the soul, it's a study of the psyche, and it allows man to look at himself and address his basic concerns. One of the existentialist theories is people-centered theory. It was first labeled non-directive by its originator, Carl Rogers, 1902 to 1987. The theory offers a distinct alternative to the behavioral and psychoanalytic theories that dominated psychology during the 1940s. Rogers later broadened the concept of the process and renamed it client-centered or person-centered. It expanded to understand all the dimensions of the person. Now it's used more in group therapy, but it is still thought of in the self or person-centered theories of counseling. Rogers' most recent work emphasized the same concepts as those concepts that were popular in education, and we'll see that when we examine Abraham Maslow a little bit later on in the lecture. The perception of clients as competent, trustworthy, and forward-moving people who have their own unique view of the world places great confidence on the individual's ability to control his or her own positive change. Notice that you're helping individuals move toward a solution for themselves. So it's important to be there for the client. It's important to be able to identify with the client, helping to understand and empathize with the client, understand the person, expand or clarify the understanding, ask those questions, reflect, clarify, and both with verbal and nonverbal communication of clients. Watch very carefully at what they're saying, what they're doing, active listening, reflection of feelings, clarification. It's all a part of being there for the client. Gestalt counseling and psychotherapy is simultaneously simple and yet complex. Frederick Perls, 1893 to 1970, was really the originator and the developer of Gestalt theory. This is an existential approach that stresses that people must find their own way in life and accept personal responsibilities for their own maturity, their growth, their development. Awareness brings about change, whereas understanding that the unfinished business from the past or the traumatic experiences in the life of the client must be dealt with. You're dealing with unfinished business of their past. You're dealing with unfinished business of their present, and even of not confronting their future. The emphasis of this therapy is on doing and experiencing rather than just talking about one's feelings. The complexity of Gestalt counseling and psychotherapy has to do with the fact that the student or the practitioner must master the basic skills of simple interventions before moving on to interventions such as what is known as the empty chair or the dream work. So the complexity of Gestalt counseling and psychotherapy is accelerated and escalated by the application of the skills. Now, within the framework of Gestalt theory and the personhood of the counselor or therapist, there needs to be a balance, both physically, mentally, and emotionally, before the encounter can really take hold. This moves us to an understanding of the founder of the existential approach, but one that moved toward utilizing these theories. Let's look now at Abraham Maslow, Viktor Frankl, and Rollo May. Abraham Maslow developed a theory of personality that has influenced a number of different fields, including education. It is known as self-actualization. This wide influence is due part to the high level of practicality of Maslow's theory. The theory accurately describes many realities of personal experiences. Human psychology focuses on the potentials. And so in understanding this, we're looking at the humanistic psychology as one that allows the understanding of the forces of stimuli, reinforcements, behaviorism, and unconscious instinctual impulses of psychoanalysis. There's a striving for upper levels of capabilities. Maslow calls this self-actualization and self-actualizing the person. Now, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is very popular and very understandable and usable, helps us to see this. This hierarchy of needs includes psychological needs, need for oxygen, food, water, basic biological needs. Safety needs, which when physiological needs are satisfied, no longer controlling their thoughts or behaviors, the need for security or safety can become active. The need of love, affection, belonging. When the needs for safety and physiological well-being are satisfied, the need for love and affection and belonging emerges, seeking to overcome feeling of loneliness or alienation. When the first three classes are satisfied, the need for esteem can become dominant. It involves the need for both self-esteem and the esteem a person gets from others. Humans have a need for that stable, high level of self-respect and respect for others. And then finally, when all the foregoing needs are satisfied, the need for self-actualization is activated. This is a person's need to be and to do what they were born to be and do. Viktor Frankl is the founder of Logotherapy, or the developer. He was a neurologist and a psychiatrist, and it's interesting that after Freud's psychoanalysis and Adler's individual psychology, this existential analysis focuses on the will to find meaning in life. It's from the Greek word logos. We know that sometimes meaning word, but it also means meaning or expression of that word, where Jesus was the logos, the Word made flesh, where the meaning of God was expressed in Jesus. Life has meaning, and our will, under all circumstances, to find that motivation for living in life or living life moves us toward the freedom to experience life. Frankl thought that if man could be led to understand this, he would solve his own problems. And finally, Rollo May. Many have seen him as the father of American existential psychology. Born in 1909, living through 1994, Rollo May helped to particularly work with post-traumatic stress disorder, citing that people often run away from their problems instead of dealing with them. And so this was a therapy where the individual dealt with their problems, understanding that they could connect anxieties with personal realities in life. His book, Love and Will, was inspired with his friendship with Paul Tillich. So we begin to see the combination of a religious outlook, because Rollo May was an ordained minister, and dealing with life from a psychological standpoint. His basic theory was to guide toward change. And so as we finish up this area of psychological theories, we are seeing a move into America into the existential understanding of these.